Any advice that you'd give to, I don't know, maybe a 20-year-old Sergio?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of advice.
What's the best
20-year-old?
What's the best advice that you can give yourself?
If you could speak to yourself right now, go back in time.
Focus on yourself. Don't get caught up in any bullshit. Don't get caught up with any people that aren't going to bring value to your life, and don't be afraid to cut those people off. You know, I was actually having this conversation with my wife on the way here. I was saying, oh my God, we all make mistakes, and I really had a shady group of friends as a young adult, and some were great, and, we were all kids, so they weren't bad people, but it's very important to surround yourself with good people. Don't get caught up on thinking you need a huge group of friends, because it's never the case for anybody. Have a solid support system, focus on that. But most importantly, focus on yourself, focus on your health, focus on your family. And I
think a lot of people underestimate how your environment has a huge impact on you. Right now, these days, would you say that a lot of your closest supporters are your family, or are they friends, or
friends?
Mix? Yeah,
friends. My mom is another huge supporter in my life, but other than that, it's a core group of friends.
Yeah,
and some of them aren't even people that I've known for a long time. They say strangers can end up becoming your biggest supporters.
Yeah.
And you could have had a friend since you were a child, and you could even have family that you grew up with that are your biggest haters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's true.
Usually they'll be the first haters.
Yeah.
Because they're the first ones that see what you're doing.
Because they've known you for so long, right? So they're very familiar with that. Yeah. So as soon as you start to go out.
What did Jesus say? Jesus of Nazareth? He's like, even like, what does it profit someone in their own city? Like they can't even be a prophet in their own city?
Yeah, because
Jesus of Nazareth couldn't work any miracles in Nazareth. Was it Nazareth or Bethlehem?
No, Nazareth.
Because they knew who he was. They saw him growing up. They saw all whatever they saw about him.
Yeah.
And they said, who are you to say you're...
They didn't have any faith in him.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because they're like, we know who you are. You're just the carpenter's son.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are, saying that, you're the Messiah?
Sounds like Toronto to me.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something off topic, there's no script, but just off the cuff. You believe in heaven or hell?
I grew up in a Catholic upbringing. I was an altar boy. I even worked at the church, and I believe in good and evil. I'll tell you that much. I believe in good and evil, and there's a lot of good and there's a lot of evil out there. And you need both.
Yeah.
You need both.
Yeah.
You need to be able to hang with the evil.
I feel like evil in of itself is just the absence of good.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like a lot of people that say, well, there is no God, right? But because there's all this evil in the world, well, I always say, well, I feel like when you see evil, that's how you know there is a God, because what other standard are you using to judge, right, and measure?
And I believe we all have evil and good within us. We just can't let that one overpower the other.
Yeah, definitely.
But we all have the ability to be evil.
For sure.
And we all have in our past.
Definitely.
I think just making mistakes on a daily basis, the wrongdoings are part of that nature.
That's life.
That's life.
And then you grow and you learn and you adapt from those mistakes. And I think that's what makes us better. Because I feel like if we were all perfect, it would be like, what's the point, right? Like you're not growing, right?
And that's something you can also teach a 20-year-old coming up. Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Don't let them hold you back. Just learn from them. Don't make them twice.
That's what I feel like a lot of, I don't want to say kids, but the younger generation's really struggling with. I feel like a lot of people that make mistakes, especially in school, you get penalized when you make mistakes on tests, right? You're given, a bad grade or something like that, or you're reprimanded sometimes, right, for making a mistake. It's not really realistic with the world, because we all need to make mistakes. How else are you going to learn?
You're right. And I can't imagine what it's like being a young kid in today's society, and what you're not allowed to do and not allowed to say. when we were kids, we could say anything. Yeah, we might have got a smack here and there, but imagine being a kid in today's society.
Yeah.
Well, one of our cousins just messaged me. He's 16 years old, and he DMs me and he goes, "How are you?" Whatever. And we start talking, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm really stressed out." I go, "What are you stressed out about?" He's like, "School." So I literally said to him, I go, "Don't sweat it too much. It's not that serious."
Yeah.
Like I'm speaking the truth. I'm not bullshitting anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he goes, "Well, what do you mean?" I go, "What I mean is do the best you can. That's all you can do." He goes, "Okay, but what's something I can deal like with my my stress? Like what can I do to deal with my stress?" I said, "Start every morning by being grateful. List what you're grateful for. Remember those things." He's like, "Oh, wow, that's a good idea." And then I start speaking to other parents and stuff like that. We've become parents recently. And I said, "Hey, like, are you guys experiencing this in your schools?" Apparently, they're throwing so much work at these kids that they're coming home and some of the parents are like, "We don't even have time to sit with you and do all this homework. But why are you guys throwing so much work at our kids?"
You're throwing them work, and they're also throwing them all these narratives as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, imagine balancing both, and to feel like you're wrong for thinking, "Oh my God, I don't believe in that."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then am I wrong for not?
They're getting to question a lot of things about what they believe in, but not in a good way.
No.
Kind of in the other way, in the opposite way of like, "Wow, what's wrong with me?" kind of thing. That's what I see, at least. But it's crazy how these days you're just, as a kid, I don't blame them.
No.
I remember when I was in school, I felt like it was the end of the world if I didn't get into university. I felt like it was just gonna be, I don't know,
Failing your G1, you're like, "Oh my God." Remember? You're
Yeah,
like,
it was
"Oh my
crazy.
God.
Oh my God.
If I fail my G1,
what am I gonna do? Kind of
it's
thing.
over."
Yeah.
You know?
Like you really do. I don't know. I felt that at least going to school, and I felt like it was over. Like if I failed.
barely got out of high school, so
Yeah.
But now it's the kids are okay. Let's switch over to the girls, right? The girls, there's the young girls. There's so much pressure on them to look a certain way, to act a certain way, and it was like back in the day. I was speaking with my wife about this. I said, if a chick just wore TNA pants, guys were like salivating over that.
Yeah.
TNA. I don't even know if they're still around, but TNA pants was like, you're not
the yoga
innocent.
pants.
Yeah. Now it's like girls are in high school getting Botox, doing crazy things. And I'm like,
with their $1,000 phones.
yes.
We didn't
that's-
have phones.
We didn't have them. I had the Motorola flip phone.
Oh, we didn't even have phones.
If you had the Razor was like, you're
we had a pen. We had a pen and paper.
It was literally yesterday, I think it was. We were on a walk, and I was wearing a jacket. It was pretty windy. It was pretty cold for fall, right? And there was a girl walking, younger girl. I think she was maybe like 16, 17, wearing a crop top, no jacket, nothing. I'm like, how do you explain that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But she had the $1,000 phone.
Probably AirPods in and whatnot. And I'm just like, it's so
sad.
shitty though. It's very sad because you're just like, they're pushed to have to, be living like that. You know what I mean? Or else you're seen as somebody that's, just not in touch with society, or
It's horrible.
whatever the case is, right?
Yeah, we talk about like the benefits of social media, right? But there's also the negative impacts of social media and getting caught up scrolling every day. And that's something I'd advise, once again, to the 20-year-olds out there. Don't wake up and stare at your phone. No. Get up, have a glass of water, get your day started. And then, you want to put in that work, go for it. But it's just that scrolling mentality and swiping mentality. It's toxic.
It's that dopamine hit, though. That's the problem, though. It's so toxic, and I feel like you need to get your dopamine hit in a healthy way, like through working out. That I feel like is a really good outlet. As opposed to just scrolling early in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm being very honest, like I'm guilty of that too.
We all are.
Yeah. Where it's like, I realize, but here's the thing though, recently I've been catching myself and I'm like, I'm scrolling and I'm like, stop, it's so early. What are you doing?
It's very bad. And not just bad mentally, it's very bad physically. I go see a chiropractor now to like fix this pain in my neck. And it's partially due from doing this all the time. It's horrible.
Yeah. Another thing, it's like our buddy Diogo Snow is doing Buddy Bench. which is very popular in the States and in Europe, where they're donating these benches to schools, where if a kid sits on that bench, other kids will know that they're having anxiety or they're having a hard time fitting in. And so other kids should go there and sit beside them and talk to them. So I think another thing that the younger generation struggles with is just talking about their problems. It's like there's so much pressure on you to perform in a certain manner that it's not proper to even talk about your problems. And so you see a lot of anxiety and depression and stuff like that in that age group. So I do believe that talking about it helps solve it.